Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Soulpreneur Scaling Stories. Today, I'm joined by the very lovely Rebecca Nesbit, who is the CEO of the CEO Crowd. And we will get to know what that is in a moment. Hello, Rebecca. How are you?
I'm feeling so good. I'm so excited to catch up with you.
Me too. So we have known each other. We're trying to figure it out for many years. I think like 2020, maybe if I'm guessing correctly. So So I'm very excited for this conversation because there has been a lot of twists and turns in your journey. So let us know. So please describe who you are, introduce yourself, and tell us what your business looks like today.
Oh, I love that. I feel like we first connected because we co-wrote a blog. I feel like we posted like a female entrepreneurship blog, so it's exciting to see how you've grown too. So for me, what I do today is, like you said, I'm the CEO of the CEO Crowd. So I help women who are in this online entrepreneurship space and they're just feeling really disconnected from a tribe, from support, and they've really been looking for something. They've probably invested a lot of money in looking for something. I know that I did. And they're trying to find their people. And by their people, I mean kind hearted entrepreneurs who are there to just like really support your dream. Just like hype you up, be there to celebrate, be there to commiserate, whatever day it might be, or whatever hour of the day it might be. And create those connections between women within our membership community, as well as we host networking events, and we love to do that for all women. I feel like not everything should be behind a paywall, and I think that's something that we strive to do is give the most customized support for women who are looking to network, who are looking for their people, because it just took such a long time for me to find. So it definitely is like the passion came from pain. And I think that there are better ways to do community that I'm seeing in the space. So I'm really trying to create something that is innovative and different and is very much focused on cultivating connections instead of, putting a post in a group and saying, "Hi, I'm Rebecca, I'm a Taurus, and I'd love to be friends." And then getting crickets, then feeling like you're not good enough and you don't know if anyone in there really listens to you or sees you. We want to make sure everyone feels seen and heard in our community. So that's what
Very
we do
cool
now.
and very different from what you were doing before. So I'm so curious because I don't know
Yeah.
the story. So I'm really curious to dive in and talk about your journey and the pivots and the whys behind them and all of that. So let's start maybe with the most recent pivot into this community. So I'm really curious, what were you doing before this? And what sparked this idea and this passion? Because I can feel your passion. I can see how excited you are for having this community. And it's really beautiful. So I'm curious how this came about.
Yeah. So I was doing one-to-one high ticket coaching. So I was in life and business coaching, which I believe just means everything. You just talk about everything. And I really loved it, but it's so interesting that I should be speaking about this here because I know that this is scaling stories. And I feel like this was the next step for us because if I was to have scaled my business in one to one, I was just scaling my
Right.
time. So I think that the real pivot is when you want to leave your 9 to 5, it's usually because you want to leave your 9 to 5 or because you want some more freedom, some more flexibility. And then I felt like I really got to a point in my business where I was like, well, I have all those things, but I'm now lacking time. And if I took on another client, that was just more of my time. And in the personal phase of life that I'm in, I got married since we last
Yay.
spoke, which is really exciting. And thank you for the yay. I feel like that every day. My husband's, if you think I'm cool, like
Oh,
he's
so
just the
sweet.
next level. He's awesome. So we would really like to start a family in the next few years. And where my business was, what do you do
Right.
when you're in one-to-one coaching and you want to start family? You just kind of have to figure it out. And that didn't really sit well with me. Something that I feel really, really passionate about and called to do is to have time at home with my children. My parents just had to work. That's just, how I grew up, and they were out of the house a lot. And I don't want that for my kids. I want to be around. So then I had to think about, okay, well, how do I scale my business but not scale my time? And the way to do that is with group. But I didn't want to be just launching group program after group program after group program, because I feel like I experience a high level of fatigue with that. So I thought, okay, well, what are the other options? And membership was there. Now, around the same time as I'm kind of having these ideas and decisions are coming around, then I went to an in-person live event, and it was excellent. It was in Austin in April of last year. And it was so interesting because everything that was said on stage, I think you get to a point in business where you've kind of heard most things and you're just hearing them in different ways. And like, if you can take like 5 or 6 nuggets from an event, you're like winning, because you always see the positives and you see the reinforcement of knowledge, and it's so powerful. And live events are just so good. But what I noticed is that everyone was there to network, and there was very little time to network. It was like, you get an hour for lunch. We're going to cut it a little bit because we've
Right.
gone over. And now you've got 30 minutes to find something, but also you're speaking to people. So then you don't really eat. If you even eat at all, then that's great. And then you go back and you're sitting in your seat and you're listening to someone again, unless they do kind of small breakouts. So this particular event had these small breakouts. I just had this inspiration. You can call it the universe, God, Yoda, whatever you would like to. And I had this inspiration that said, this needs to exist because no one's
Mm-hmm.
doing this. Because we're so used to, in the space that I was in coaching, we're so used to hierarchical structure of this person is the coach, they have the answers. We'll just go and do what the coach says. And if it doesn't work for us, we'll just go back to the coach and ask for another answer. And they're probably going to give us the same one because that's what worked for them. Or they're going to try and give us some other ideas. If they're a great coach, they'll probably try and give you some other ideas, right? So I thought to myself, what if it didn't have to be like that? What if I could create something where it was facilitated, yes, because we need space holders, but it was more about, I want to hear you, I want to see you, I want to feel your energy, and I want to support you to really have those connections. So from that event, then I just thought, I'll just put on a networking event with a bunch of my entrepreneur friends. It's kind of a disservice. They don't know each other anyway because they're all awesome. And honestly, like, click of my fingers, it was just full in like a hot second. And I thought, nothing in my business has ever really taken off like this before. There'd be like months where I would get like a few clients and I'd be like, oh, life is amazing, like 10K months, 9K days, this is great. But at the same time, nothing had ever just had the demand. So I thought, okay, there's something to this. So we ran those events monthly for a few months. And then we started to get asked the question, what's next? And this is when the kind of personal side and the professional side came together. And I thought, okay, well, what's next is the membership. So that's kind of the whole transition. That's really what was going on personally, what was going on professionally, what I was seeing in this space. And in amongst that, I also did a lot of market research. I'm a really big advocate for market research and anything else you want to try. And it has been the coolest journey. It has challenged me in so many ways. And it's been so exciting. And I'm so excited for what we're building. It's been so much
So
fun.
I love the story. I love the inspiration. I love that you were there and you kind of got this intuitive hit and you listened to it and you're like, oh, and it really sparked something, because a lot of people can sort of feel that and then they're like, oh, yeah, I'm not the one to do this, or, this must exist. Like there's a lot of doubts or these things that can come into play. And you were talking about your challenges. Now, this is a podcast where we like to go deep and vulnerable. So buckle up.
I'm
I
so
love it.
ready.
So I would love to hear what were some of these challenges that had come up. What were some, like, especially mindset or like imposter syndrome or doubts or things like this, because you were truly completely switching business models. So this is not an easy feat. This is something that takes time. This is something, you have to like unwind one thing, then become known for another thing, and it's a whole situation. It's a big transition. So I'd love to hear about this, sort of the darker side of it, shall we say.
Oh, So here for it. So first of all,
Somebody told me,
let's
so
get started on the list.
somebody told me, or they posted, I interviewed somebody yesterday and they're like, I have a vulnerability hangover now from this podcast. Hi.
I'm excited for my
Beautiful. I'm
vulnerability
excited. You're
hangover.
excited. Let's go. Let's dive in.
So the first part of the dark side, I think that first of all, as an entrepreneur, you always have to consider the financials of your business. So we are very fortunate, and I say this a lot, we have a lot of privilege. We, myself and my husband, are able to live out our dreams, and we've worked hard to do that. And we've done that in many different ways. So we were able to take what was essentially a really big financial hit so that we could transition, or I could transition my business. My husband is an author, so it's slightly different. So we were prepared for this financial hit because it was also more looking at, we have to think about longevity
Yeah.
and recurring revenue. So that's something that membership is great for. But to transition the way I wanted to, because I'm like a all in, all out kind of person. So I was like, we're just doing the membership. That's the only thing. It's the only thing you'll ever see us promote, unless it is one of our like in-person events that we're kind of having fun with right now. The only thing you'll ever see us promote is the membership. That's the one thing. It's the one product. It goes against all business strategy. And that's also part of the dark side, I suppose, is that it goes against all business strategy, but it feels aligned and it feels right
And it
for
sounds like you
me.
did this in your
So
whole
I
business period. Because I just do one on one, like I take it like one on one coaching. I just do the membership. Like you're very much like, this is my thing. Or that's what it sounds like to me.
So when I was doing one-to-one, I would occasionally run
Okay.
like a
Mm-hmm.
group program because second money is easier than first money. So it was a way that I would source one-to-one clients previously. So I wasn't adverse to one-to-one. I just learned from that experience that I would get fatigue, launch fatigue really easily. So, and also, I always felt like I had to create something new. It had to be new, it had to be different, it had to be fresh. I could never stick with a program and run it multiple times. That wasn't in me. So I like to keep things fresh and different. So when it comes to that mentality of going all in, it was a little bit different to say, I'm just going to do this one thing, because I would get some kind of inspiration to do a program on imposter syndrome. And then I would do a program on coaching coaches how to coach. And then I would do sales more often than not. I do love sales. So I was always doing that. But I would do all these random, well, seemingly random things that would make sense if you were kind of following the journey and if you were in entrepreneurship. But to me, it shined a light on why that wasn't particularly my path and why that traditional value ladder
Yep.
concept I was just very adverse to, because it just felt like I'm just pushing someone through essentially this funnel. And sometimes people would come in and they would go straight to one, and then you were like, do you come into the group? I don't know. And there was always questions around it. So I'm very much of the mindset that everything that I do is within the membership. So if I want to, this is a little spoiler alert, but by the time this comes out, it won't be. When I chose to run a group program this time, it's going to be within the membership. It's part of the membership. People don't pay extra for it. It's not an upgrade. It just is. And we're doing it purely because it's joyful and it is exciting and our members need it. So why would I then create something that then they had to pay for? That doesn't feel good to me, because a lot of the people that I work with have been so burned by, I come into a program and I have to pay for the next program and the next
And
program and the
also
next
not get
program.
what they
And that's
were
not
promised,
that.
not get the deliver. There's been a lot of this. Yes. And I
Yes.
really appreciate that you really seems like that you operate just purely out of alignment and what you want to do and what feels good for you. And that's how, from all of these interviews that I have done, from everyone that I talk to, this is the thing that sticks in my mind as this is the key to success and sustainability, is not listening to somebody else say, well, this is the smart business model, right? Or like, this is what you need to do, because it's not true. It's what the successful business model is, the one that you feel so passionate about and the one that you are just like all in on and you can't stop talking about, and like this is your thing. And who cares what the other people say is the smart thing or the thing you have to do or this and that, because then you're just a copycat of everybody else. So the fact that you're like, okay, I have this membership, it's for collaborating, networking, whatnot, and guess what? I'm going to add this coaching experience to it because I want to, because I feel like this is what people need, and because this is what's in my heart. Like that, this is beautiful. You know, you can't ask for something better than that. So I wish that everybody listening, and just like, I want to put it out in the universe for everybody who has a business to do things like this more often and stop worrying so much about the right thing to do, you know, or the thing that the gurus are telling you to do, or whoever, and just really follow your heart and trust your intuition, because that is the way that you're going to get things done. Like that is the way that it's going to be sustainable, that you're going to be happiest, that you're going to be so excited, and that your people are going to love you, you know, and they're going to stay because they feel loved and supported, and that's how you grow. So, step off my soapbox.
Yes.
Sparked a thing.
I love
Yeah.
it. No, stay on it. I loved it. I'm here for it. That's everything
Yeah.
I'm about. So I think that is also part of coming back to it. That's part of the dark side, is also choosing to actively go against the grain, because then you're hearing what you're
Right.
doing is wrong, what you're doing is wrong, what you're doing is wrong
Right.
all the time. So there's the financial aspect, because going from, you know, a 9K day to when I first started my membership, we had a monthly offering of $49 a month. We no longer offer that, but it was $49 and it came into my bank account. I remember the first time it came into my bank account and I was like, oh, this is different. This is different. I was expecting it, but it was different. So you have that financial aspect. Then you have that aspect of everyone is telling you that what you're doing is in some way, shape, or form wrong, because you should be doing the other things. Now, it is accurate that I have a few one-to-one clients, but they are clients that have been with me since the beginning. I love them. They continue to get results. I'm not going to just
Yeah.
say sorry,
Right.
like
Right.
it's done. We're going to spend our time together, whatever that looks like. So there is that part of my business, but it's not something that I actively offer or promote. So then we come to some other challenges. Selling to many is different than selling one to one.
Yes. And how did you
One of
navigate this?
one of
Because it is very different. And did you have a strategy when you first started, or did you learn as you go? Like, okay, like here are different things that I can do, or yeah, like, talk about that. Because it's the same, sorry, another thought. It's the same a lot of times when, let's say, service providers, and like, okay, like, you know, I work with one on one retainer clients and then they want to do something else. And that marketing is totally different because it's either project based or short term, or they're going to coaching, or, you know, or there's a group component. And so now they have to speak to the masses. You have to speak to more people than when you just have a handful of clients. So it's a very different marketing strategy. So I would love to dive into that a little bit.
Yeah, I am very much a jump in and figure it out kind of person. So I definitely learned as I went. I was very fortunate to have some excellent guidance in the form of Becky Pearson Davidson. She is at Build with Becky. If anyone wants to snoop her, I'll just slyly plug her because she's become such a great friend. But I was very fortunate to connect with her at the beginning of the membership. She worked with the likes of Boss Babe, so she has a lot of experience exactly with my niche. So I really did seek out mentorship, and I think that is something that entrepreneurs do very often. I'm sure that's why people are listening, is because they're seeking out mentorship from the form of a podcast. So I did find her early, which was really useful, because then when I spoke about the marketing strategy, it was kind of in place, but she just showed me how to tweak it. Essentially, all I was doing is I was having these live events. They were happening every week. So essentially, it's like having a webinar every week, but I'm not the main focus. It's not, these are my 3 steps to success. It's like, come pitch your business, like, let us support you. Like, what's going on? How can we help you? And out of those events, women are getting incredible results. They're getting clients, they're getting collaborations, they're getting podcast opportunities, they're speaking on summits. There's so much that they're getting out of them. So that was really the funnel in itself. Like, our funnel is essentially our marketing strategy now is essentially built on trust, as opposed to before it was built on, you have a problem, I can help. Now it's built on complete trust of, we are going to do so much for you that when you're looking for a community, we're here. That's really how the marketing changed. And then we obviously had to introduce things I'd never had really before, things like funnels, like genuinely your sales page, not funnel, because actually funnel is like from ad to all the way through. um something I learned recently because I'm still
We
learning,
all are
but our
always
sales
learning.
page,
Yes. Yes.
all the sales page and speaking to the right people and a nurture sequence by email, all things that I had to learn because I'm just so used to doing things one to one. We're very fortunate. And I say we because I have a small team now. Part of scaling was having some support, and it's been the best thing I've ever done for my business. So we like to make things as custom as possible. So we also make sure that we're like in people's DMs, we're supporting them. We have a network success manager who's also our lead gen specialist who just checks in with people, make sure they got what they needed out of the event, make sure that like if we're the right offer for them, that they're coming to us, because I think that there is fortune in the follow-up. And I don't think of fortune just meaning finances for us. There's fortune in that we get a lot of data to work from. And also we can make sure that those people are supported because there might be something that they didn't get that they need. And we have the resources then to support them, whether it's through our own podcast or it's through some kind of post that I've done on social media that could help them, just some information, a lead magnet that we might have that can just really help them where they are. So marketing had to change completely. I had to learn so much about marketing. I feel like I used to know like enough to be dangerous. And I feel like that's probably still the case. I wouldn't say I knew more than that, but learning it just in a different way, because one-to-one in group
Very
is just
different.
so
Yeah.
it's
And
so
the thing
different.
that I appreciate that you did, and I think that a lot of people are fearful of, is that you made an investment while you were in this kind of financial in between, let's say, when you were, pivoting from one thing to the other. You said, no, like, I know that I need help with this. And you made this investment. And I think that this is in a particularly sensitive time to invest in help, right? Because you're like, oh, I don't know, this is a new thing. Who knows what will happen, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm curious, just in it, what your rationale, were you nervous about that? Were you like, you know what, I'm going to do it and let's go?
I think that we've made two significant investments and we onboarded two team members in similar timeframes. Probably the beginning of this year, all of this happened. So from December was when we connected with Becky, as I mentioned. Then we started onboarding. I onboarded a lead gen specialist then too, so that I could not have to do that part of the work, so that I could actually have free time. And then we got to February. We were very fortunate. We had a really strong January. We had
Wow,
21 signups in January alone,
that's
which
amazing.
was
Yeah.
not expecting. Yeah, it was amazing. I was like, I'm still shook. And we were really fortunate. We built up a really good audience, and I think that that looks like a really great number. But if you think we started our events in April and that is the January, then there's a significant period of time where we were still figuring
Remind me to
things
come
out.
back to this time
And
frame thing because this is a good point. Go on.
yeah, for sure. So then in February, we onboarded a virtual coordinator. And then in March, we onboarded a
Mm.
marketing team. So we have been completely organic so far. We're looking into the next evolution of what we're doing is into ads. So that's something that we're exploring now. We're very fortunate that we found a referral to an excellent marketing agency. And I actually just spent the weekend with them and it was amazing. So really excited to continue our relationship there with them and then look at what ads can bring us. Is that going to be the right step for us? Or do we stay organic and just go for a slower grow? Because it does take time to grow organically. So to your point, there were a lot of investments with little return is for sure. And I mean a lot of fear. I just did it scared. I don't think there's anything else I can say about that. But also, I do want to highlight we had a financial
Mm.
cushion.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So I had a financial cushion
Right.
for these
Mm-hmm.
investments before I chose to pivot. And I think that that's really important because that informed a lot of our spending last year was informed by knowing that something was going to change and something was coming. So the money is there to support us as a family. And I'm sure that people that, it's just me and my husband. So we can, we could eat canned beans. We don't, but we could. If you have children, I understand that's very different. So I think that having foresight, if you're going to make a pivot, it wasn't a snap decision. It wasn't in April last year, I had this like insight. And then in May, we had our first event and I thought, I'm just going to do this. And, said goodbye to all my clients and all my finances and put all the energy in. It was very much a slow step away. And knowing that I did have one-to-one clients that were
Yes.
recurring, and
Yeah.
when those payments would come in, that I could, to a degree, count on. Because when you're doing one-to-one, then that really is your only estimation, is like, is this person going to renew? I kind
Right.
of think
Right.
so, or I
Right.
kind of don't. And it was a gift to shift, because now we have recurring revenue, which is really cool. I'd never had that. That was so like I could really count on it,
Yeah.
because you never know what's going to happen in
Right.
someone's life. So that feels really good. But I would say those were kind of the main challenges. But I would like to come back to your point of the
Yes.
timeline. What would
Well,
you like to
before I
know?
know
I'm
you're like,
like,
what's that? Yeah. Before that, I want to highlight the fact that when I coach my clients when they're in their pivot, it really is okay, what you're doing now is almost like your part-time job, and this is what you're doing, right, to make money to support you through this to get to the other side. And it really does take planning, and it is a shift. So this combines both things. So to get to my other point of the timeline is, like you were saying, you didn't, have this idea, start it the next month, and then either stop what you were doing or give up because it wasn't working, quote unquote, right away. And when you pivot, it takes time. Like you have to give it at least 6 months, like in order to be known as this other person and really have that be your focus. So it's a two-pronged thing. One is, okay, how am I set up now to support myself through this time, with both time and money? And then two, to know that, okay, I'm going to dedicate myself for X amount of time and have this conviction and really believe in it in order to carry myself through. So what you were saying was like, no, this reminded me of this point. So I'd love to hear from your point of view. Did you prepare yourself? Did you have a strategy? Were you like, okay, this is what I'm doing no matter what? Like I'm all in and I don't care how long it takes. Like what did that look like for you?
I don't think that there's a back end strategy that I could give you. I don't think I necessarily
Yeah.
had a strategy. I think that the timeline really was, the idea came in April. The first event was May. We'd run monthly events May, June, July, August. And I believe in August we did 2 events. And then in September we
Oh
did
wow.
4.
Mm-hmm.
September was when we chose to release the membership. So we knew that we had to offer more than a monthly event, because essentially you're just pulling people to this event for a month. And the thing about that is, if we had low numbers, we could have done that, but we didn't have low numbers. We were booked out 2 months in advance, and there's only so many people you can see. We could only take in, our capacity for one call is 25 people. So we keep our intimacy in our, essentially it's a live lead magnet. We keep the intimacy in the networking events, because that's really important to me. And what will happen, or I would like to see happen, is when we get to the point where ads have really taken off, or that next level evolution of business has really taken off, whether it's ads or it's organic, it doesn't matter. I'm like, we have to think about what happens when we scale. We can just add more days. We can just add more opportunities for people to connect with us, or we can be super exclusive and booked out months in advance again, and that's fine too. So that's the idea going forward. But was there a strategy? Not necessarily. I think I had contingency plans for everything. Like, if this doesn't work, we'll try
Mm-hmm.
this, instead of having a very specific strategy. Now, would a strategy have helped? I'm sure it would have. But the way that I did it was messy and scared, and with just trust in my gut that I was doing the right thing. And I think that you articulated it so beautifully earlier. You said that a successful business is, or sorry, a successful business is, I believe you said, sustainable and aligned, was similar terminology to what you used. And I completely
So
agree with that.
if I'm hearing correctly, it sounds like you're like, this is my thing. Like I'm scared and I'm going to just move through it. I'm going to just do the thing. And you had so much conviction and belief in what you were doing that sort of carried you through. And yes, and then doing it messy, because the perfectionism, all of this is another form of imposter syndrome, and the excuses and whatnot. And it's really just keep taking the steps, keep taking the steps, keep taking the steps, and then eventually it will pay off, because you have no other choice, right? Like, because this is what you're meant to do, and so you're going to make it work. So I love that. Thank you for sharing all of that. I think that it's really inspirational and really amazing to hear that, and to hear the success. It hasn't been that long. It's been, I guess, a year, or just over a year since you started. And I don't know, maybe it feels like a longer journey, but it's really cool to hear where or how far you've come in these past 12 months. Is there anything else you want to add in terms of maybe a top tip or something that you would love to share for service providers who are looking to grow, looking to pivot, looking to scale their businesses?
That's a great question. I think that's something I really learned from running the networking events and meeting just more entrepreneurs. And something that you've said in a previous podcast is, through collaboration, we're lifting each other up and we all win that
Yes.
way. And great podcast, you and Sophie, just saying. But I do believe that I truly learned that by being more in community, whether that was in-person events that I was, like I said, doing scared. Like, it's so interesting because people would never think that I am so introverted. I'm the most introverted introvert. Like, if I could sit and just read a book all day and not see humans, that would be fine. I just want to see my husband. But
I love that you chose
my
a
business
business
requires
like surrounded by people virtually.
this based around people. Yeah. It's so funny. I was at an event this weekend, and I think there were 15 entrepreneurs in the room, and you would have thought I was a mute. Everyone was like spitballing back and forth, and I just love to listen. That is, I think, the secret skill is I just love to listen. And when I'm facilitating a community, it's different. You're holding a space and you have to be a version of yourself. But dear Lord, I'm okay to just be on my own. And I think that is a double-edged sword in itself. And I think that a reason why I chose the type of community that I chose was because then it would help me be around people more, because I know that I have a tendency to be able to cut that part of myself off and just say, like, no, you can just rest, don't do anything, don't speak to anyone. And my business really helps bring out the best in me, which I really honor it for. So when it comes down to coming back to your question, that piece of advice, then I do think that my biggest piece of advice that I've learned through my own business and through your podcast with Sophie, and I know that many other people are saying this too, is that collaboration is where it's at. We were not built to do this alone. Even if we feel comfortable doing it that way, we weren't built to do this alone, because that led me to significant unfulfillment. And I think that being around people who are kind-hearted, who are genuine, who really want to see you win. I mean, we have people in our membership that are doing pretty much the exact same thing. They have the exact same title, they're doing the exact same thing, and they're there supporting each other. And I think that's the coolest freaking thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, I'm consistently inspired by women that collaborate. And I do think it's the most powerful thing for your business. It's the most powerful thing for your growth. And if it's the most powerful thing for you personally, then I do believe that your business also benefits from that. So if I was to kind of give a concluding tip of how to get through those times, I also had entrepreneur friends that I went to and I was like, this is not working. I just got $49 and why am I sad? I should be really happy. So I also had those people that were there to be like, you're doing something that's aligned with you, like, keep going. And I had people to celebrate the wins with me when we took on, 21 clients in 1 month that were like, that's amazing, that's incredible. So I think you need people, like I said earlier and kind of to the beginning, like, you need people to celebrate with and to commiserate with, because this journey can just turn on a dime. And if it's just you, it's very easy to get the messages of perfectionism, imposter syndrome, I can't, it's me. When actually, if you listen to other entrepreneurs out there, the ones that genuinely are winning, they want you to win
Yes.
too. And that's what they'll speak
Yeah.
over you. And that's what I believe that people hear from speaking to you and to listening to your podcast as someone that's listened, is it's someone to just speak greatness over you and greatness over the dream and belief that it can happen, because we don't always have that for ourselves, and it's not our fault. It's not because we're bad or we're wrong. It's just because we're experiencing something that's hard and we're internalizing it and we're making it our fault, and it's not. So I think that that's my concluding tip, is be around people that inspire you, that are inspiring.
Yes. And you know what's also a secondary benefit of collaborating and being around people and all of these things and making these connections is that you see how
This podcast.
you see how nice people are. And you're like, oh, and you make these it feels like real, our world is a little bit virtual, but like you make these connections and it's so nice to be like, oh, like it's almost surprising sometimes, because like, I don't know. I just love it. So like I'm all down for the collaboration. This is like I agree with you that this is such a powerful thing and that we really do need it in whether it's can somebody help me or can I help somebody? Or you might not think like, oh, I can help somebody, but I guarantee you there's some way that you can help somebody. And I love going on these coffee chats or connection calls when it's like, what can I do for you? When people like that's the like final question is how can I help you? What do you need right now? And to me that's like, oh, like it just warmed my heart, and I think that we need more of that, and so this is why you're the CEO crowd is the perfect place right, to step into this. So I think that's beautiful. So let us know. So where can we find you? How can we stay in touch with you? Where can we find the CEO crowd? If you have any gifts, all of that, please share.
You can find us at the CEO Crowd essentially everywhere. You can find us on podcasts, on YouTube. You'll find us on Instagram most of the time. You can find us on Facebook as well. So if you just search at the CEO Crowd, then you'll find us. And we have networking events every single Monday. So everyone is more than welcome to attend. And the great thing about those events is, first of all, something that people get nervous about is networking. And I totally get it. I have my most high performing reel is just my hand shaking before going to a networking event. And it was so ironic because at the time I was running them and I was going to one for a friend because they had this system in their networking event that if you couldn't go, you could have an ambassador go and read your pitch for you. It's the most terrifying thing I've ever done in my life, because reading someone else's pitch,
We feel very responsible for them,
really
right?
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, I hope that she gets something out of this. So I think that everyone gets nervous before they go. So something that we try really hard to do is we provide a free course for if you're looking to create your pitch and you need help. So we gift that as, thank you for signing up for our event. We also have a really in-depth video on like, this is what you'll experience, because I think especially this is something that I don't hear a lot of people consider for our more neurodiverse population, or for people who are just more nervous or have anxiety. Like, we're not pulling these people in a hug and saying like, this is what you're going to experience. Like, you're going to be okay. So that's something that we do as like a thank you so much for signing up to come along to one of our events. And if you just drop your email, then we'll send you that course and then you can check out our schedule. It is every Monday at 2 p.m. Central Time in the US. So that is 8 p.m. in the UK. So I believe in Spain that is 9 p.m. Just for anyone
Good
that's
job with the
in that
time
kind of
zones.
your
Proud
area.
of you.
Oh, we have the US, the UK, Canada, Europe, and Singapore, and Australia.
Okay,
And
Australia is
we're very
impressive because
fortunate to be
that's
able to
like the
serve.
middle of the night for them. So that's crazy. Yeah.
Singapore is like
Oh,
4 o'clock in the
yeah.
morning. Shout out to Atika. She is just a superstar. I just think when you've found the right community and you really want it, you are like, I'm there. And she's amazing. And we have our friend Tiff, who's in Australia, comes to most calls. Unless there's a chronic pain issue. If you're looking for someone who's talking chronic pain, Tiff is amazing, Tiffany Gilland. And she shows up 7 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, depending on the daylight
Yeah.
savings. She's just there, and it's the coolest thing to experience. So we got all the time zones. So if you're in one of those areas, then I truly believe that you can make it work if you want to come along. And then after the event, then we put you in what we call our network. So we send you opportunities emails every single Monday. So the replay of the event that you may have missed will be there, as well as all of the things that people are looking for. So like that moment in the coffee chat where you're like, how can
Yeah.
I help you? We literally have a list
I
of that
love
go out
I
every
love all
single
the
week.
intentionality, all the little like pieces that you add is really cool. I want to add a story. I was gonna like end this, but I have a story that I want to share. So it's my podcast, so I get to. Just kidding. So you were talking about being nervous and about speaking and these things, and it reminded me. So I am not one who like I'm very simple, like introverted. I've always was very quiet and didn't. I think because my family's Italian and very loud, so I like just shrunk back and just watched all the people, right? Because I could not get a word in. So do you know what helped to shift it for me? And just because I just find this an amusing story, is that in 2018, I did yoga teacher training. And in my studio, there, it was kind of like Jivamukti influence, which is with a lot of like chanting and like using the harmonium. I am not a singer. I will dance. I'm a salsa dancer, like I will dance. I am not a singer. I had to like chant and sing in front of people teaching yoga classes. And this was the most terrifying, even if it's just Om, this was like the most terrifying thing. So so I highly, highly recommend that if you are like, oh, this is nervous, like exposure therapy is the best thing, because since doing that, I was like, okay, well, this is just what I do now. And it really helped to really prove to myself, the scared version of myself, that I'm not going to die, that that like it's going to be okay, and that you can just do it and it'll be okay. So doing these things, if it makes you nervous, if it makes you scared, just doing them is such a good way to then get to the other side and move through it. Because if I can chant things and sing in front of
In
people in
Sanskrit.
Sanskrit when this is a thing where I did not want to do, it was like, then you can show up to a networking event, I promise you. This is my amusing story, but
I
yeah.
believe that too.
So highly recommend the exposure therapy. This is okay. So everything with the CEO crowd sounds amazing. So thoughtful. I love that you are, giving people, this is how you create your pitch, really setting people up for success and holding them. So beautiful. And then great. We're going to put all of the links and everything in the show notes. So I'm really looking forward to hearing about how people are connecting and going to your networking events and kind of digging in there. So thank you so much for being here and sharing on the dark side of your scaling journey with everybody.
Thank you, Andrea. It's been so much fun, and it's just been so great to be able to catch up with you as well. And for your community, I thoroughly enjoy your podcast. So thank you for it. It is truly a gift. And yeah, if anyone listened in and they want to tag us both in a little Instagram story, we're here for it, because I'm sure that we would both love to hear your thoughts.
Beautiful. Thank you.